Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. And today, Jean, do you have any interesting team team? Do you have any interested like news to share with us?
Yeah, I do. It's been quite a week in XR this week. One of the things I want to talk about is the big news with Niantic. They ended up selling a lot of their games like Pokemon Go, Pokemon Bloom, and Monster Hunter Now to Scopely for $3.85 billion. It's going to be a transition. They're going to take the games and the development teams associated with that. And then Niantic plans on spinning off a new company called Niantic Spatial, which is really going to be focused on geospatial AI, kind of location-based experiences. I think this is great for both of those. My personal feeling is that Pokemon Go has been kind of they kept it running, but didn't really grow it as much as probably it could. So Scopely, with their experience in games and live game service, can really take it to the next level. So I would expect to see in the next year a lot of movement in the Pokemon Go space, and that also helps Niantic to really focus on the business case of geospatial XR, which is really interesting. And I think this marks a really interesting shift. I know we've been talking a lot about kind of the novelty of experiences and how they're standalone. I think uh, making this change really shows the business value and that Niantic is pursuing that. So I think we're on a good spot there. Any thoughts about the Niantic deal from your perspective, Dom?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like you said that Pokemon Go, when back in 2017 or like a ish, like when Pokemon Go just released, I think it's kind of like a make all the millennials like my people of my age was
Hmm.
so into it. I even remember I drove like a 40 minutes down to south because I look up because I couldn't get like a Pikachu. So I was even went to like a forum and find which city around me has the most Pikachu ratio. So even drove there and walk around the block during like a late night, like 7, 8 o'clock. Just
Hmm.
when I look back, it was not really brilliant idea. It's just why am I doing that?
Yeah.
So yeah, so but I haven't really heard anybody was really crazy about Pokemon Go recently. Have you played it, and how do you like? What's your fanatic about? What's the craziest thing you've done?
Yeah, so I had a interesting a long time ago, I think 2014, I had a pitch for a game called Pigeon where you would go around and pick up pigeons and work together kind of socially to drive them.
Mm.
And this is way before Pokemon Go. So when Pokemon Go came out, I was really interested in kind of the game dynamics and how it would work. And so I did play it for a while. But I think the nuance or the novelty faded pretty quickly for me on that. I had quite a few friends who got pretty into it, but I also didn't play Pokemon, the card game as well, so it didn't resonate as much with me. That said, I think that there is still quite a lot of opportunity in that gaming market, and I'm really interested to see what Scopely does with the IP.
Yeah. Wow. So I think a lot of interesting like purchase acquisition, right? For example, like I think Google, right? Google purchase like I forgot HTC Vive or something. Yeah. So like before. So I think right now all the acquisition just to show that the shift. I don't know why, but probably they need to allocate their budget into somewhere that they are specialized instead of something they cannot handle. So I think, and especially right now, I think the economy is really unstable right now. And if you see stock market reflect the emotions of the investors, right? So
Yeah.
I do see there will be a lot of kind of the business shift, right? So yeah, so it's one of it.
You you bring up when you were talking about Google, it made me think about
Mm.
there's going to be a really interesting competition between Google and Niantic now that Niantic is kind of planting their flag in this geospatial because Google's got
Mm.
a lot of geospatial horsepower with all their Google Maps and the
Mm.
work that they've done in that space previously. So I'll be interested to see how XR permeates through Google's
Mm.
geospatial plays, and then how they compete directly or indirectly with Niantic and what that brings. So I think that'll be interesting as well.
Yeah, and as for Google, I think the thing about Google is that Google has a huge database, right? Because everybody when they search or post on things, it's all, for example, like also YouTube, right? A lot of things that Google can access, and I think Google owns a lot of data. And today, there will be another news talking about the robotics bring AI into physical world. So I think XR for me, XR because it requires visual, right? Because
Hmm.
right now you see like a lot of AI layer, it skips the visual explanation. It just finished for you.
Yeah.
So, for example, UX, what's UX? User experience, right? For example, it's the middle layer of how human interact with the machine. But if
Hmm.
you can just prompt and you don't even need to select yes, no, and the machine just execute for you, and it totally ignore the entire user interface. For example, recently I just read an article on LinkedIn. They said that UX designer is star. I I know a lot of people said that, wow, it's great. AI create a lot of UX job opportunity. But for me, is that I can see that a lot of UX being kind of eliminated because from your thoughts becomes a text to the execution. You don't need in between interface to help you to select things because for example operator from ChatGPT or there are a lot of new agentic AI, they skip this types of interface for human to make decisions. So yeah, so
Yeah.
these layers of UX will slowly become text prompt to execution. So if UX become eliminate, and why it needs a huge like a 3D visualization in between, because I think UX is the 2D um, kind of like a representation of how human can interact with machine, and 3D is just for this 2D UI become more 3D for human to interact better. But if this layer was being taken out by direct prompt, because prompt pretty much start from your brain to words is easier than brain to an interface is faster. So if this is being implemented, and now I can see it's kind of skip that. Yeah, so I think every day doing things, task will be before we need an app, right? We need a user interface. Now it's just prompt and done. And I think the only thing that requires XR is the training and education. That's it. Otherwise, for example, even Google Map, people find that the 3D is annoying, right? For example, if you drive, you would rather see like a 2D, or in the future there will be an auto, self-drive car. You don't even need a map. You don't need human interrupt. So I can see that before we thought that we need better visualization to operate the task. But I think XR will be more of education and training. Other things will be direct from, even if you see Meta right now, they have like a brain to text. You just think and it will type for you. You don't even use your finger to type. So so I can see that all the tasks can be, all the UX, UI, 3D, XR will be eliminated, but the education training will stay. That's me. Yeah.
Yeah, I am going to jump in and stop you from getting a lot of mail from my UX friends out there. So I think you were talking about UI specifically. I think UX really has a place. I think UX is the error messages you get when your um, prompt doesn't meet the specifications or the way that you get to retry. I think all of those things are UX, and I think it's super important. So I still think there's a place for UX, but I think a lot of people really think UX is just UI, and I think it needs to expand beyond that. Even robot human interactions, I think that there's going to need to be user experience design, like what happens, how do you make it so that you feel like you're in charge and a robot that's 10 foot tall isn't in charge, those types of things. That's user experience, not just UI. So I think it's important to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think in the future, probably it will become more like an invisible experience. Not like a, because for me, right, I get used to do a lot of visual stuff. And pretty much my entire life, I don't want to say entire life, but my career is pretty much all visual, from graphic design, web design to more like a app design, right? So it's all about like how can I create, for example, like using design principles to create visual. But I think right now probably you will switch to text or a voice, and all the visual element will probably be eliminated or become less and less. So just like you say, UI probably it's more like people think of UI is more
Hmm.
visual part,
Yep.
but in the future it will be invisible. So it will be probably like for the UX designer, probably just design, oh, maybe a chart, right? Oh, you talk to this robot and what will it respond instead of
Hmm.
using Figma and trying to design something as traditionally we have to present, oh, this is my visual skills, this is my UX research skills, this is my like a UI app skills, and I know like iOS, Android, different
Yeah.
design principles. I think in the future for UX UI designer, it will turn to more like how can you create a seamless experience for
Agreed.
human to interact with the machine. And a lot of chance it will be no traditional UI or just voice or text.
Correct. Agreed. Agreed. Yep. Very good. Transition to the next. This is a blog post actually, and it's by David Wyatt from the Mighty Coconut. Is really talking about kind of we've been telling the wrong story about VR, which I think is really interesting. VR is really considered gaming a lot, and it's usually one person gaming, and so I think David, he's got a good point about trying to incorporate other people. It needs to be collaborative, and that's one of the things that made Walkabout Mini Golf successful is the ability to do it with other people, and then have stories and things that you can tell other people. And it's not just for tech savvy gamers; it's for all ages. So people, who are maybe even older generation, but they're seeking meaningful experiences. This is a great market to kind of go after in VR, and really great advancements in the last 5 years in hardware and software technology both, that are all really coming together. And he's really just asking people to be thoughtful about how we're driving VR forward and making it accessible for all and making it a place where people can come together and have remarkable experiences. So I think that's pretty great.
Yeah, I think for the future of wearable, it might be more towards like a AI, AR, right? Smart AR glass, because
Hmm.
we need some assistant to help us to remember something. And later on, there will be an article talks about we now offload our thinking to the AI chatbot. I do agree. And this will benefit for more senior people, right? For more like a not really benefit for junior people because they just start learning how to think, and this kind of deprive their rights to think, right? Because yeah,
Hmm.
sometimes you offload things. So I do agree with you that for the VR, yeah, definitely work together is better than work alone. I remember a long time ago, I wrote the book and I did some research about human. Human's founder. He was on a TED Talk stage. He said that, oh, in the future we don't want to just start from phone, jump into VR because VR is isolated. We
Hmm.
want like a human being. It's very interesting because now I just saw the LinkedIn, the human just shut down. So so I think there is something in between, not that exaggerate, only just voice,
Yeah.
and then like shooting a projection on your uh, hands, but
Hmm.
something else. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, the next topic I want to cover is also kind of big news and one of the big names of XR. Rec Room released Maker AI. That allows you to create world and game creations for all types of players and using AI to create new things. It can spawn, it can place and resize and modify objects, can adjust environments, lighting, set up game mechanics, all acting like a skilled partner who's just got a lot of experience that can help you go really fast. Advanced creators can even speed up their workflows. So if you think about kind of how slow traditional workflows are because you've got all of the touch points, AI really kind of streamlines that and can get you to something that's workable pretty quickly. I think we've talked a lot about kind of AI tools in the XR space. We're going to be able to support multiple languages with Maker AI. Initially, they're going to launch it in dorm rooms for Rec Room Plus members, but eventually they will expand that to everybody and everybody will get a chance to build in Rec Room. Again, this is another one of those social things where you can build and create your own environment and invite people in. And I think that those types of experiences are going to really kind of grow over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I think this is like a very interesting era, and AI generate content, right? Later on, I have another news talking about how like a content pipeline built for AI. Somebody kind of write a little bit like a story and it becomes a movie. And the movie was not that bad at
Hmm.
all. So it's interesting to see those like AI generate. And we can see that before actor, actress in Hollywood, they can earn a lot of money, all the famous people.
Yeah.
Now if you use I mean, I feel like it's losing the human touch, right? And it just the different face, and you can change how beautiful, how your face, your eyes, but it, I don't know, it's just for me, it's just a little bit weird to see
Hmm.
those like AI generated movies.
Yeah. Could you tell it was AI generated?
I can, for example, like right now, I can see there are a lot of like a virtual recruiter. I can tell who's human, who's not. It's just very easy, even though like I think those bots trying to look like human and they have their headshot. Something looks too perfect.
Yeah.
That's probably AI. But something or like when somebody writes something that is not that perfect, that probably is human. And
Yeah.
human, it usually has like a social media and there's some updates and there are some commenting, like more like a real human. But for AI, it's just everything looks perfect and there's no information or this person doesn't even exist.
Yep. So, are you, let me say that back to make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying the way that you detect AI a lot of times
Hmm.
is that the AI is always right
Hmm.
or too perfect, and
Hmm.
you expect humans to have some imperfections or I'll call it character for lack of a better description, in what they do. Is that right?
Yeah, imagine if our episode, right, is powered by AI. There won't be any like a weird like a it's like everything will be fit to a certain format. Not like a not like a for us, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning I say your name wrong, right? Because I mean I'm just like a little bit like
Yeah,
sleepy.
yeah,
Yeah, so this won't happen.
yeah.
So for people who listening to this is definitely not AI generate. Maybe yes, we just purposely put like a script, but I think yeah, I
Yeah,
think it.
maybe that's something. AI designers in the future will do is
Yeah, they need
essentially
to
to
add
put,
some
yeah,
imperfections
yeah.
in. Yeah, it's very interesting to observing like all the stuff right now. And yeah, and today I just read like Trump just asked like the institution to remove all the AI fair or like all the stuff that is limited.
Hmm.
Yeah, all the safety stuff. Trump wanna remove it. I don't know. Before we were laughing off like a Google Gemini when you generate like a pope, it generate
Hmm.
a black people, which was DEI but not right correctly in history. But now if we remove that layer, it will reinforce some stereotype in according to the engineer who designed it.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
which one is good or bad, but yeah.
Yeah. It's really hard to it's really hard to be conscious and not include
Hmm.
um bias in the AI solutions that you're building because only got a limited set of knowledge, and as you're particularly as engineers and product managers who are building stuff, you're just thinking about trying to get it to work. And so I think it's a good call out to say, hey, people need to think a little bit more about
Hmm.
being inclusive and make sure that you're not being biased, and what does that mean, and how can you bring that
Hmm.
into your practice?
Yeah, yeah. And I do think that in the future it will be, I don't know. I don't know. Like today I just look up like I have a lot of Chinese like social media and their prediction from China because we know that so far when I see compare with USA and Asians like I personally think Asian AI in Asian or China is much faster than America because you can see there's like a first all robot or AI powered hospital
Hmm.
just opening in Shanghai, and they have like tons of like AI robot yeah. Another news that I'm going to share today is that now in Shanghai there was a robot expo, and then you can see one line of child was sitting against the other line of robot was sitting and they are
Oh, wow.
playing chess, and the parents were looking at the expo and the kids were sitting and play with the robot, and they predict that every child in the future will have an assistant,
Hmm.
robot system, which will be their friend and will be
Yeah.
their teacher.
Interesting. That's crazy.
That's in Shanghai right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, this is like a what I don't know whether this is good or bad. It's kind of sad because when I was young, I usually can go out and have like friends because I'm not that young, so I still have like at the time. I remember my phone and I have my first email account when I was in high school. So
Hmm.
I wasn't got like that exposure to the social media or anything.
Yeah.
Like Mark Zuckerberg is kind of just a few years older than me. That's it.
Yeah.
So social media wasn't a big thing when I was young. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Crazy times. The next article I want to cover is Metallica and Apple paired up, and they have created an Apple Vision Pro experience that's a Metallica concert. It's going to premiere on March, or it did premiere on March 14th with ultra high resolution, 180 degrees, so it's 180, not 360 video. But it's spatial video and spatial audio, and it's going to be really, really cool. Fans can experience it through the Apple Store. You can go to Apple Store even and do one of their bookings. I don't know if you've done one of the Apple Vision Pro tours that they do, but this is going to be some of the new content that you'll be accessible through that. And they're going to expand Apple Vision Pro or Apple Vision Immersive Video to a lot of other stuff, including VIP Yankee Stadium tour and a special experience with Bono from U2. So a lot of stuff is going on there that's going to be really cool. Seen a lot of content creators starting to create content in this spatial video space. I'm excited to see some movies come out where you'll be immersed in the movie and in a spatial video space. And I'm really excited for what the storytelling is going to be. For the specific Metallica concert, the pricing is included in your Apple TV Plus subscription if you have Apple Vision Pro. And it's $9.99 a month. So they're starting to build out that spatial content as part of their streaming
99 per
service.
month just to
Nine
what?
dollars and
Oh,
99
nine.
cents a month. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
nine. Oh.
Yeah, you can get out there and experience Metallica in 180 degree spatial video.
Wow. Yeah, I think right now it's interesting to see like entertainment is also like um um start branching out to more like the spatial area. And I do see that, for example, like Meta is encouraging a lot of creators to start creating a lot of things or world in like a horizon, right? And also I think a lot of things right now. I think I just read an article about like in the future 3 years is China's like a blogger or like people who create like a short video. He mentioned that in the future, upcoming 3 years, people who work for others will start decreasing. And instead, one person with AI equipped and they can start there, for example, like a YouTube channel or something that can generate money because, yeah, like less and less people will, like less and less position will be open and more individual brand pair up with like AI assistant will show up. Yeah.
Super interesting. Yeah, things are really changing. The
Mm,
last article that I want to cover is talks about AI and XR to transform the safety and training industry. It really talks about how realistic you can make these
mm,
simulations so that
mm,
it's very, very close to real life situations. And, tools like Unreal Engine and Unity, they have real-time physics and, adaptive learning levels. So as, you get better, it gets more difficult. You can have AI-driven characters in there who can explain stuff to you,
mm,
collaborate with you, share information with you. And it starts to do a lot of interesting things like risk analysis. So
mm,
as you're behaving through the experience it's created, it can provide a report out of, things that may be risky or behaviors you need to continue to watch or prevent in the future. And so it really talks about how AI and XR take what was traditionally compliance-based safety. So there are rules out there, and you need to make sure that you comply with these rules to a really proactive stance where you can start to do different scenarios and understand in real life experiences or simulated experiences what it would look like so that you're more prepared and have better operational efficiency. So I think when you start to talk about ROI of XR, this is one of the areas that'll be really important.
mm. Yeah, so I think XR definitely good for entertainment that we know that so far everything is more like a game. But I do see that a lot of things in the future will be gamified. Yeah, so for example, I think people nowadays don't really read. When we see a lot of readings, for me, when I read a long document, I usually put into Grok or ChatGPT and say summarize for me. So
Yeah.
a lot of things that people don't really read. So I think for gamification, definitely increase the engagement for some certain of training. Yeah.
Yeah, that gives me an idea. Something I'm going to try. I've been doing the same, by the way. Something I'm going to try this week is I'm going to try and write something myself,
Mm,
and then I'm going to send it through I use Chat
mm,
GPT, send it through
mm,
Chat GPT, have it summarize it,
mm,
and then I'm going to modify it so that I can make other things prominent and see how I can manipulate what comes out as the
mm,
summary based on what I
mm.
put in. So
You
I think,
know, ChatGPT, I don't know. I use like a super low and paid version, like $20. I'm not using 200, that one.
uh-huh.
You can change the tone of how the response is. For example, for me, I add like, oh, I want like this person, like the outcome to be poetic, to
Yeah.
be scholar, to be more academic.
Yeah.
And it comes out. Sometimes it was a little too much. It was too like you can feel like this person probably like a Shakespeare
Yeah.
era, and then talk like sometimes every time when I look up my answer, the chatbot outcome, I need to Google what does this word mean. I don't even
Oh,
know
wow.
what's that mean. So yeah, so definitely try it. And another thing I use is that I put, for example, like this is what I do for my resume. I put all my data, like my resume, all my website, and I put like a job description, and I say generate a cover letter for me using Dominic's of tone or like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and generate, and I just revise it.
Safety protocol. Just want to share with everybody, don't put your phone number, don't put your email address, don't
Uh,
put your credit card number, anything in there
mm.
that can be used for the training model. But yeah,
Oh.
that's a great way to use it. But just make sure you don't put your personal information in there.
There's another article I want to share with you about operator. Like the person. Maybe I can just jump into this
Yeah, let's
article.
transition to the AI stuff.
Yeah. So this news is on theguardian.com by Victoria Turk. The title is called "Who Bought This Smoked Salmon? How AI Agents Will Change the Internet." So this person, Victoria, she was probably living in UK, and right after ChatGPT released the operator version in UK, she just subscribed it and tried it first time, and she find out that it's a little unsafe. Just like you said, that don't put credit card. And for me, I remember I accidentally asked like a Grok about my
Hmm.
tax return because I my tax return is a little bit complicated, so I need to ask a lot of questions. And I accidentally just screenshot the entire information and just say, "Did I do it right?" And then at the end, it says right. And when I look up the thing that I just feed it, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is." Uh, if super sensitive information, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
I hope there's no like a bad people using my information. But anyway,
yeah.
this operator kept, because she said, according to what she said, that if you want to buy stuff, operator, you need to insert all your credit card information to operator already, right? Because you purchase it, so
Hmm.
operator already have all your credit card information. But the thing about when she was about to check out, operator asked her to type the credit card information on the chat. She
Oh,
feel she said she feel uneasy, and she
yeah,
paused because she knew that whatever the card, because but she just like struggle a little bit. At the end, she was like, oh, I need to put this because it seems like there is a necessary part. And
yeah.
also operator asked her a lot of sensitive questions such as the logging information, all those stuff. Imagine if you want somebody or your assistant to help you to do something, it's probably necessarily to give that person your car or
Hmm.
another spare car to buy. So it's very similar to operator. So after she inserted, she was so worried. Is her like I didn't put credit card number to the chat, but I understand how like nervous when you insert your credit card number just to buy grocery, right?
Yep.
So yeah, so she said that even though she insert inside, operator already know it, but when checkout or when doing something, operator will ask her again, which she said she's still not sure whether it's safe or not to put in the credit card number, but it seems
Hmm.
like it's necessary. So overall, her experience of using operator is that sometimes if your instruction not if your instruction is not very specific, operator will buy stuff that you are not intend to. For example, she want to buy like a salmon, but because it's not specified very specific things, So the operator just add a smoked salmon for her, and she was like, "Why there's a smoked salmon?"
Hmm.
And she wanna buy milk, and at the end, it's chocolate milk. It's
Mm.
milk, but it's not really chocolate milk.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes operator will add overpriced eggs, right? So it still has a lot of things to modify, but overall, she thinks that, wow, imagine this types of model keep evolving, how powerful it will be because you just give a command and probably you need to keep training, give feedback. Oh, I don't want that expensive X. If that is the chance, then, notify me or something. Maybe every time when there's a mistake,
Yeah.
give feedback. But I think overall, it's pretty amazing how those like operator can do.
Yep, I think it's a really interesting time. I don't hear about, maybe I am just not in the loop, but I don't hear about people's identities getting stolen. Remember, like for a long time, everybody was like, "Oh, your identity is going to get stolen," and somebody gets your credit card number.
Mhm.
I, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter that much anymore. From my opinion, is if you're paying attention to your credit card, you don't want your credit card like just going nuts. But everybody's got alerts, or I have alerts on my credit card, so I know when something gets bought, and I
Mhm.
can see that come across.
Mhm.
Everybody's got an app that you can see the transactions on your. It's not like you have to wait for a monthly statement anymore.
Mhm.
And then it's if it does, it just kills you. They kill the number and they send you a new card like that quick. Like
Mhm.
it's almost tokenization. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with PCI compliance and kind of how that works, but what happens is it verifies your credit card that's you, and then it sends a token to the payment
Mhm.
people, and they can unencrypt that token for a payment at the end of the day. It's like so there are no credit card numbers get handed off at the end of the day. And I think there will be
Mhm.
some versions of this,
Mhm.
like call it an abstracted identity that you have that says, this is Dom and this is Dom's payment method, whatever that is,
Mhm.
and Dom's good for it. So the person on the other end gets validation that they will get paid for the thing, and then all the payment actually happens in a very encrypted, secure area. But what happens for you is almost seamless, and you don't even notice it, and you're almost not at risk either.
Yeah, I think those types of identity and also sensitive information, when doing operator, it really like makes people like hard thinking. When I was like, oh shoot, I put all my sensitive information and ask Grok if this doing well or not. And the interesting thing is that I had an accountant, accountant,
Yeah,
who is handling my tax return. And every time I asked her questions, she always said that, oh, every year the tax return, the information are all different. So I need to look up the Google and learn for it before
yeah,
I handle your thing. And I was like, maybe I can ask Grok. So I asked the same question and asked Grok. Grok lists out everything. And later on, I just asked my accountant, is this right? And she was like, actually, this looks right. And I was like, wow, maybe I can just use
yeah,
Grok.
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
You were talking about that hesitation when you put sensitive information in, but when
Yeah.
you go out to eat and
Mm.
you hand the
Yeah.
waitress your or waiter your credit card,
Yeah.
and they take it off someplace, you don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing with that. Do you
Yeah.
feel okay
Right.
about that?
That's so true because we get used to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think yeah, I think right now I think because AI is such a mysterious box, we don't really know. And the company usually has notorious of like, oh, steal people's like copyrights or something.
Hmm.
So we were worried about our data well being trained. Maybe we've already been trained. I think at one time when I asked like some questions and it really used like it seems like that chatbot knows me really well. So
Hmm.
I feel like, wow, maybe the chatbot already know me very well. So yeah, pretty scary. So, yeah, the other news is on Forbes. The title is called Holywater's AI makes synthetic content for its video streaming app. So, there's a app called Holy Water, and then it's a Ukrainian startups, and they were doing like, for example, text prompt to video, and they start the platform like before they start a platform called My Passion. So it was the romance reading apps. They are using like AI assisting tools to help authors to publish their romantic novel. And later on, they start turning this to the next level using Gen AI to help them to create like a movie from like those types of like before they have a startup working on AI assisting writing romantic novel, and
Hmm.
they have another they launch another kind of like a platform called Holywater. Holywater is a content pipeline built for AI. So, for example, if you put a romantic novel text, and they will generate a movie, and they have a very like a popular called My Muse, like a video. The
Uh-huh.
most promising books are adapted to a video script that fed into My Muse. So this is like a AI-driven streaming app. So pretty much you can use AI to write a novel, and that novel will turn into the video, and that video, because it's you know those like videos, AI videos, the quality is very low. So the app is only limited to the phone. So when people were swiping those videos, they think actually the quality is not as bad as you thought. It's
Hmm.
pretty good. And then so you think like it looks like a Twilight, right? Like the teenager types of like romantic movie, like oh the main character, the girl was very nice and being bullied in high school. So those like a very I would say the like normal types of plot. And the guy usually are handsome, rich or something.
Uh-huh.
So usually like those like setup. So it was really popular among like young people just to watch types of soap opera. So it reminds me, and if you saw those like AI generate face, it
Hmm.
looks very similar to the movie stars like
Oh,
in
wow.
Twilight. It's different, but you can tell it's using that types of settings. So yeah, so I don't know. I personally think that in the future, if all the movie becomes like that, it feels like not authentic, but people still consume it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's really interesting to think about. I think people are really, a lot of people are really good at editing stuff, but not as good at creating stuff, if that makes sense. And so I think AI gives people who wouldn't normally create because they think I think it takes us a little bit of different thought process, but they don't think they're good at that. And creation is just an evolution process. Like you start with something and you just keep making it better. I think your example of kind of where you're going with the Moby Dick book is a really good example of you had a good idea. You started with the Raven, you've kind of modified that and you continue to work on it. And that takes a little bit different brain set. But once you have something that you can start with, then you've got something you can build on. And I think the AI gives people that kind of diving board or launch pad or whatever you want to call it to kind of get things moving. And so I think that's one of the really cool things that AI does.
Yeah, and also AI is really good. For example, yesterday I was working on the inventory system. I was trying to create an inventory things that you can buy things and your money will get deducted and you can eat the food, right? So actually it's quite complicated. It has like a 3 to 4 scripts, and there are a lot of like a struct or like a interface. So I saw, wow, there were two duplicate, like something looks similar, and I asked like a ChatGPT 4.5. I asked it, those two scripts are the same. Can should I remove one of it? Because what's the point of
Hmm.
repeat things? And it says, please remove it. The best answer, please remove it because da 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 da. The first one is like tell me what's going on. So
Yeah.
I think I'm also learning a lot just by asking AI and if I have questions. So I also want to do, for example, some widgets. So for example, if the educator can add like, oh, Moby Dick is just a template, right? And the teacher can put, oh, I want to have voice. I want to have additional movie on this screen. I want to have a quiz over here. So
Yep.
I'm thinking about doing this. So this morning I was asking Grok. I want to create like this types of portal sync with like a Meta Quest. What should I do? And it lists out everything. And I say, how can I start? Where should I learn? And it lists out everything for me to learn, like all the language I need to do and all the backend setup. And I was
Hmm.
like, wow, this is so powerful. I think if I just, keep asking more detail and keep learning day by day, I think there might be a chance that one person can just set up the entire thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I think you're
pretty
right.
crazy.
You're the second person I've had lengthy conversations with this week about Grok. Do you think Grok is the leader right now?
Um, Interesting. I think for Grok, I don't know about the because all the AI, the Grok, the chatbot, we don't know how it made of, right? But if you see the news, Elon Musk right now can access to a lot of. Maybe we were worried about putting credit card information in, but maybe there are more sensitive information already implemented.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think Grok, if you want to know something, for example, you can even ask Grok to write a rocket. I think they probably feed SpaceX information in.
yeah, yeah,
Write a rocket information. You can build a rocket from scratch, types of things.
yeah,
So Grok is for me, if I want to use Grok is something that if you don't want it has a lot of layers. I think the ChatGPT 4.5 or 4 is really good in coding because it has a canvas thing. So I copy and paste, and
yeah,
I think the coding part, ChatGPT 4 is great, but everything else, for example, you want to know the news, you want to know a lot of things that you think is outside of your knowledge and
yeah.
you don't know where to find and Grok probably is the place to help you hold together. But
Okay,
coding, I think ChatGPT is good. Yeah,
okay.
that's me.
Yeah, yeah. Good,
What's your
good
friend
perspective.
say? Another
Yep.
person say.
Yeah, the other person, they actually write code, but they were building games from scratch
Hmm.
and completely building like little 2D full game players in Grok, and they thought that that was pretty useful.
Oh, I haven't really used Grok to code things. Maybe I can try it. I just
Yeah,
keep feeding ChatGPT, and so far I'm happy. But maybe
yeah,
I can try Grok because
yeah,
Grok
yeah.
has
Give it a
all my
try.
resume, cover letter, everything. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah. So go to the next one.
Okay.
I wanna share the maybe let's talk about like under Trump like AI tools and also like interesting things about OpenAI proposals for the US AI action plan. So if you go to OpenAI, OpenAI has a blog and it talks about how they expect American government can do. I find out that because we all know that OpenAI under a lot of lawsuit about steal people's like
Hmm.
copyright. So OpenAI wants to ask the government the fair right to learn, which means that allows AI to train, using copyright things. So if it's the letter pretty much says that we should release all the copyright information and legally for the AI company to train. It, it's very interesting. It says that, oh, this is for entire humanity, da 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 da, and a copyright strategy that promotes the freedom to learn. So it's interesting. It's like, oh, plagiarize, right? Oh, I am stealing your work and I train my AI. but they rephrase it and they say we should promote free to learn. Not like, yeah, it's interesting. It treats AI bot as a human, right? Because human, we are free to learn from the copyright stuff. And they
Hmm.
upgrade and say, oh, AI need to have a fair learning,
Yeah.
which they have freedom to learn from copyright stuff.
I,
What
I
do you
think the
think?
difference is, though,
Mm.
is that the humans are paying for that copyrighted material, if that
Mm.
makes sense, and they're
Yeah,
not. That's the piece that's missing for me.
yeah.
That said, I think anything that somebody publishes on the internet,
Mm.
you give up your freedom of you know, having like, I'll just say an image, right? Like if
Mm.
I did a painting and I put an image of that painting up and that image got used to train,
Yeah.
I put that on the internet, and so there is an understanding that there are people who print that in their own
Mm.
house and didn't pay me for that.
Yeah.
So it's that accompanied with fair use and the ability to change things, like you can't reproduce what somebody else did, but you can do something similar to that. And I think those combination of things will help. I know there's a lot of artists who don't believe in that, but I think it will help the training. And I do believe in the altruism. It's just that they charge for their services. If they were willing to give them away, I think
Mm.
they'd have a stronger case.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think definitely free to learn. I agree with AI should learn everything, including copyright. It's the matter of whether you pay for it or not,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
If you don't pay for it, for example, like a lot of like companies, they are being caught by using, like the copyright data to train, right? So I think yeah, I mean, it seems like the government won't really protect. I don't know. According to the thing that I see, I think, yeah, creator or we are. I feel like as a human, we are just a bag of data or producing new component of data and for the big company to harvest to,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
create their chatbot to train their chatbot. I feel like that. It's like even though we use a lot of like a chat, for example, like a chat GPT or Grok, like at the beginning it's free, but it feels like we use it and we keep feeding data. So it will become powerful, more and more powerful. And if you see right now, all the government, they cut out, for example, like education. Yesterday, I just saw that, federal government has a kind of like a loan for students, like a FIFA or FAFSA, something like that. Um, Now the login or like the page was not being, it's like people cannot access to
Hmm.
because education department already being let go of the majority of people, only bare bone, right? And the thinking is that what's the future of education will look like if the younger student couldn't get along, right? And you see that the economy, their parents probably not really doing well, right? And how they couldn't get along, and how can they even go to the college? Only rich people can go to the college like if they can afford, right? So
Yeah.
I think if you take out the law, then a lot of people won't be able to even go to college.
I don't even know what place college has in the future. I mean, I'm not saying
Yeah.
it doesn't. I'm just saying I don't know what it looks like. I know we've talked a lot about my son and
Mm.
his, man, I don't need to know everything because I can find everything if I have a question.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what does that mean for the education process? And what does it mean? You were talking about robots. You'd have your personalized
Yeah.
learning robot that would help you grow and
Yeah.
learn. And then you're not necessarily like standardized testing is a minimum bar. But what could
Yeah.
people learn if they were able to learn in a way that was fun and personalized for them?
Yeah. And every time when I see, for example, right now I'm having like my master degree, I am I'm literally learning things, but every time when I open up the module, like the online course,
Hmm.
I was like, gosh, it feels like you are not that smart, so you need to follow this. And actually the real human, I can jump into the things that I
Yeah.
need. A lot of portion of course, I feel like it's like a because teachers sometimes need to fill out a lot of things that just to make the module looks even,
Yeah,
there are
yeah.
some quantity of it. Some of it I feel like it's just,
Not
just
necessary.
fillers. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I do see that college, but it's interesting that what's the future of education, right? Maybe in the future, just robots be with you, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't really need a teacher.
Yeah.
You can just ask, right? And
Yeah.
you probably just build something with your robot or with your human and couple of robots and just do something together.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so I can see the education system was being kind of like a start getting less and less people, and I even saw like a very new like kind of incubator A16Z, right? It's a game types of like a startup incubator. The people who post says that there's a post from one of their leadership that in the future that like he encouraged people to or like startup founders do not post qualification for education because right now people learn from anywhere,
Hmm.
right? And education that diploma doesn't really mean anything. But for example, if I want to teach, I need a master degree. I need
Yeah.
a doctor degree. And even though like I can tell you that if you are in the education institution, people who teach for a very long time usually are a little bit disconnected to the industry. If
Maybe.
because yeah, because education is such a safe bubble, right? It's like protect you from all the, for example, like a layoff anxiety, kind of trying to
Yeah.
improve yourself, networking, getting on top of things. This types of anxiety is not happening in the school professor, right? Because
Hmm.
they everything was stable. They don't even they have summer vacation and winter vacation, which my mom had. My mom just wished me to be a teacher, so
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
need to work and I can get paid. So I do see that there will be a lot of things that there's a castle, right? And I think the federal castle is already being a lot of new stuff getting in and start getting dismissed, and now I think education might start getting disrupted as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, so I think for this week, pretty much that's about it. Anything else you want to mention?
Nope. Good discussion today.
Cool. Awesome. Then I will see everybody and I will see you next week.
See you
Bye
next week.
bye.
Bye.